Yeah, I remember back in the day when everybody was on drugs. Well, we're here again. I was watching some 70s movie and this lady, like back in the day, you could tell they was on drugs. Like the music they listened to and they're like, so just sound like somebody was just high as a kite in there just making sounds. Rapture, just high. Now we're back to that with that music, just like the Betty Bop, the crying and the whining and the it's just something I noticed with drug music. But yo, what's up, y'all? I didn't do nothing today. I worked out at home and chilled. And that was that. Hung out with my fur baby, fur husband. No, my husband's not covered in fur, but yeah, I didn't do nothing, y'all. Just chilled today and worked, because they got your girl working, and so I got to take it easy sometimes. I'll probably hit up the gym again today, go in there, see who I can out sweat in the sauna, because I'm always on my competition swagoo. Let's see, news. I know they have some Trump news in there, but let's see what we got. There was a Republican second debate tonight. GOP candidates attack Trump for skipping the debate. I mean, he really don't have to come because he's still leading them in the polls. Let's see what else. An American Airlines flight attendant was found dead at a Philadelphia airport hotel with a cloth in her mouth. Yo, that's wild. Jenny McCarthy and Donnie Wahlberg are still together. He fainted over her stripped down photo shoot with Carmen Electra. They must need some news because I ain't heard about them in forever. Lots of more murder and mayhem. it's hard to evade it, honestly. George Clooney responds to Trump after Trump accused him of being a Hollywood elite. Here's the thing. I grew up in Kentucky. I sold insurance door to door. I sold lady shoes. I worked at an all-night liquor store. I would buy suits that were too big and too long and cut off the bottom pants to make the ties so I'd have a job. For job interviews, I grew up understanding what it was to not have health insurance for 8 years. So the idea that I'm somehow the Hollywood elite and this guy who takes a poop in a gold toilet is somehow the man of the people is laughable. I know that's right, George Clooney. But you are really rich now. That's true. Let's see. What else we got going on here? Have you seen the viral video of this lady making love to the fruit in the store? She climbs all over it and everything. Yeah. More news about the debate. Taylor Swift is planning on attending another Chiefs game on Sunday night. Oh my gosh. So they won't be talking about football again. It'll be all about them. America's couple. Let's see what else. Somebody said, what is white math? Dude said, divorce is costly, so killing the whole family instead, tame. Biden did his visit today in the UAW strike, walking the picket line with the guys. I'm just going down a timeline, seeing what is interesting. What caught my eye. Elon Musk has fired the entire election integrity team at the X, the unit created to identify threats from foreign and domestic. If I worked for Elon Musk, I'd be scared, honestly. It would definitely be my backup job. He seemed like any day he can come in and just fire everybody. So today in Black History, Charles Brooks, resident of Newark, New Jersey, is credited with inventing the street sweeping trucks back in 1896. I love my Black History facts. Anytime I can happen upon them, I will definitely be telling y'all. Some woman's in the ER because she mistake super glue for eye drops. I'm blind, but I ain't that blind. The Braves won a game tonight. Baseball is still around. Anybody cares? Hyundai and Kia are recalling a combined 3.37 million vehicles in the U.S. due to the risk of engine fires, telling owners to park outside and away from structures. Man, Hyundai and Kia going through it between the people like carjacking them, stealing all the cars, to this. It's like back to the drawing board for sure. Four in 5 Black adults say they see racist or racially insensitive depictions of their race in the news, either often or sometimes, according to Pew Research Center. It's pretty funny that the news would tweet that when they're the ones that do that. So how is it 2023 and nobody's come up with a satisfying explanation as to why cell phones never show up in our dreams if we're using them for 12 hours a day? That is weird. That is strange. And that is something that somebody high is clearly thinking about. Let's see. What's trending right now? Says the GOP debate. Survivor came back on. I don't even remember if I watched the last one. It's just too many shows that I'm saying it's too many shows and it's absolutely nothing on TV, but it is, I started watching a new show that I'm finally kind of liking. So now I'm behind when the other ones come on, which is good. I like to be behind. Let's see what else is going on, y'all. Nick Cannon is still talking about Mariah Carey. He must really not be over her. Says she saved his life during his lupus outbreak. McDonald's is adding 2 new limited editions dipping sauces, Mambo and sweet spicy jam. I really only mess with sweet and sour and barbecue. I'm not about that life. All right. Really, most of this is repetitive. I was seeing if it was something interesting to talk to y'all about, but no, it's repetitive. Let's get into Reddit. Men of Reddit, what's something your partner does in bed that you don't have the heart to say no or stop? Interesting. Let's see here. She started watching these ASMR streams. My husband hates my ASMR too, dude. Listen, y'all don't understand. ASMR is so, it relaxes me for real. I don't listen to it at home, but I do love me some ASMR. My husband absolutely hates it. So y'all don't get it, but I love it. Some guy says sucking on my nipples and doesn't do anything for me, but she enjoys it. Maybe those are her little pacifiers. I was with a girl for a long time whose idea was just sticking her tongue in my mouth for me to suck or something. She just shoved it in and did nothing. I had no idea how to address kissing her. I heard a dude say that a girl kissed him like a camel. What the heck? This dude says, my wife thinks I'll stay harder longer if she puts a vibrator on my balls when I'm doing her doggy style. It just feels awkward and sometimes she pushes too hard, but then she would say, yeah, daddy likes this, doesn't he? And I just hang on to those words to keep going. Dang, y'all doing some wild stuff right now in y'all bedroom. She always wants to have a go late at night. I'm a morning or afternoon guy, maybe early evening. It's always go time like right before she wants to sleep, and sometimes I just don't have it in me, but I always force it. Listen, y'all don't even understand. Sometimes couples aren't on the same page on this side, but most women, we want to be fresh and looking good, maybe have had some makeup on or something. Y'all want to be like early morning breath, like, Let's see. What is currently ruining your sex life? Definitely work. Work and lack of sleep. Somebody said our 3-year-old. My wonderful wife being totally disinterested in anything sexual. We have been together for 49 years. However, I've been married for 44, so I really can't complain. Although I do long for a frantic, nothing off limits session we used to have back then. Sad. Mostly it not existing. That I still care for someone I'm not speaking to anymore. Sex with others feels empty. My partner's depression. Dang. I mean, sex is a mental thing. I mean, I personally don't look at sex as a chore, because if you do, then it will feel like that, and then it won't be enjoyable. You have to look at it as like, I'm about to relieve some stress, you know? Like, you gotta look at it differently. This is funny, and I gotta read it. Women of Reddit, do you notice when men subtly adjust their peens? If so, how often do you notice, and what are your general thoughts? Yes, we notice it all the time. I mean, as long as you ain't obnoxious with it, or just, I mean, you know, it's like the same, it's equivalent if you see a woman like digging in her panties or her butt all the time. Like, you know, if it's once, but if you constantly have to do it, you might want to buy some different underwear or something. Somebody said it's obvious. You either do a weird sidestep and a reach into your pocket all the way to your thing, like weirdly shake the front of your pants, or do the little squatty. Dang, y'all have to squat to move it. I notice, I don't know how often I notice, I don't really think about it. I just assume they're unpeeling their balls from their thighs. Yeah, if it's hot outside, I totally get it. Let's see what the women are talking about. Do you have any women friends in your life that genuinely hate men? If so, how did they get to that point? Right now, it's gender wars on every social media app, so as far as my personal friends, I don't have any men haters. I mean, everybody has their thing where they talk about the opposite sex, but I don't have anybody that completely hates men altogether. So those of you, say 40 to 55-year-old, did you wear a watch when you were a teenager? If so, what kind of watch? I don't care for watches because they get stuck on my clothes, but I guess back in my day, where were they at? We had these like swatches where you could change colors and stuff. Somebody say yes, swatch watch. Timex. Yeah, swatch watches. What was your messiest breakup? Now y'all just being nosy. So I'll just read somebody else's because I'm not telling y'all my business tonight. I started dating this guy like 6 months before COVID. For starters, I know I made that bad decisions here. We were crazy about each other, went on vacations, moved him into my place too soon, went to fancy dinners, got really vulnerable with each other. Turns out he was hiding the fact that he was married with 3 kids. He said he was getting divorced, but looking back on it now, I doubt he was. We were planning on getting a place together. He had a great job, but turns out his credit was crap. I was often talked about everything, sharing my opinions on everything. Looking back at it, I realize now he sometimes wouldn't answer or would just say, I'm thinking about it. I think he was just saying that he thought I wanted to hear. The same week the COVID lockdown started, he had moved all of his stuff out of my place without telling me beforehand, told me he was leaving and gave no reason. That same time, I just found out my landlord was selling the house. My hours had also been cut at work. I just had been dumped and had to move in the beginning of the pandemic. When I thought I had found the person I was going to marry, I was completely broken for a few months there. That was effed up. I had never dated such a liar before, so I didn't know what red flags to look for. I didn't know what love bombing was until then. He fell off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened to him. I'm in a great relationship now with somebody I've been friends with for a long time. But if it doesn't work out, I don't think I'll have another relationship. That's a lot. When I talk about my ex, I make my own therapist cry. There's a term for it, trauma dumping, and I'd rather not induce any compassion fatigue on anyone. I know that's right. Y'all want to trauma dump. My ex-husband, he wanted to still control my whole life, and now we get to co-parent. Some of these are just too long. Dated the daughter of my mom's best friend. I had been friends with the daughter since junior high. We reconnected in college, started dating. When my mom heard, she told me I better not screw up her friendship. We dated for about 6 months. Things got serious, marriage talk. Never actually engaged. I ended up breaking up with her. It was a sad breakup, lots of crying. We lived 2 hours apart. She tried to convince me to stay the night. My little sister's wedding reception was the following week. Ex came to the reception. There was crying and a little bit of a scene at the reception. No yelling or anything. Crying and my mom taking her side and consoling. Not messy, but my standards were pretty jacked. So you basically mess with a friend. My ex was cheating on me with his coworker who he got pregnant. After she had a baby, he tried getting back together with me and tried to crash my sister's wedding. My dad ended up kicking him out. He tried again about a year later when I first started dating my current husband. I told him I was going to get a restraining order if he didn't leave me alone. And that was that. Wow. some messy breakups. Alright, let's get into these story times. Let's go.
Y'all, here are the 3 airlines that let you put your vacation package on a payment plan. First, United Vacations. You can book them with $250 down and the remaining balance due 45 days before you leave. The trick is that you got to book it at least 6 weeks before you're trying to go. A lot of y'all was like, oh, that option not coming up for me. Sis, because you was trying to leave tomorrow. Like, you got to leave at least 6 weeks before, okay? Next, JetBlue Vacations. Now, with them, you can do a hotel package or a cruise package with flight included, both on a payment plan. For the hotels, it's $200 down, full payment due 30 days before for domestic, 45 days before for international. And for the cruises, it's $250 down and your remaining balance due in 90 days. I love the cruise option, so with flight too, that's crazy. Next, Delta Vacations. Y'all know I'm a Delta girly, okay? It's just hard as fuck to fly on Delta from DC because all our flights got a layover. I'm just trying to get to Orlando. Why I'm stopping in Atlanta? Like, I get it, I know why I'm stopping in Atlanta for Delta, but why I'm stopping in Atlanta? So anyway, but there you can put like $200 down, I believe, for Delta Vacations, and their remaining balances are due either 30 or 41 days before you leave. It just depends on where you're going on the package. But I have a lot of these airlines and stuff in this book, y'all. A lot of y'all been asking me how to be a travel agent or about all the like sites that I got. I put everything that I know about booking travel and being a travel agent, every single site that I used or have used or anything that I know in this book. Okay, it's coming out on Friday, but I got it on pre-sale. You can do 20% off if you use the code pre-sale. The link is where y'all know it is. Okay, bye.
So I always think about doing one of them, like put something down on a trip, but I just pay it off. But it would be nice to put something down. So if you're into that, there you go.
What's up, everybody? Alright, you guys, so before we get started, if you're not already following me, make sure you hit that follow button, and you guys, please make sure you blow this up because we need your help in finding 21-year-old DeAndrea Ford. So this story takes place in Houston, and it is about 21-year-old DeAndrea. So only a few weeks ago, DeAndrea got a job at an East Houston bikini bar. So you guys, this bar is called Diva's Bikini Bar and Grill. So on Thursday, September 21st, she got a ride from a family member and she got dropped off at work. Now, this family member is saying that they later got a call from DeAndrea saying that she had a ride home from somebody else. But what's crazy, you guys, is after that night at work, nobody has heard from or seen DeAndrea since. Now remember, DeAndrea has a son and he's 4 years old, and her family is saying that they knew that something was wrong when she went days without contacting her son. DeAndrea and her son were very close, and she was a very good mother. So after trying to get in contact with DeAndrea and not getting an answer and days going by, that's when her family knew something was wrong and they contacted police. Now, the last time that anybody actually heard from DeAndrea was around 2 a.m. when one of her friends had a missed call from her number. So this would have been that Thursday night going into that Friday morning at 2 a.m. And after that, no one has heard from her since, and her phone has been cut off. Now, later, police was able to go through surveillance videos from her job, and that's when they made a shocking discovery. So after her shift that night, DeAndrea actually got into a van with an unidentified man. It's being said that they sat in this van for about an hour, and after that, they pulled off. Now, this is important because this is the last time DeAndrea was actually seen, and we need to try to figure out who this man is.
Tonight, her family is pleading for help. They say they knew something was wrong when DeAndrea went days without contacting her 4-year-old son.
I'm confident that something's not right. This is not her normal behavior.
Family members say the club showed them surveillance video from that night. Tonight, the club's manager says the video has been turned over to police. Family says it showed DeAndrea leaving with a man, getting into his van in the parking lot after the club closed. They stay there for more than an hour.
Well, she entered the vehicle with him. Whether she left, with him willingly or unwillingly, that's something that we can't answer.
So police have not identified this man that she left with yet, but you guys, we do know the information about DeAndrea. So DeAndrea was last seen wearing a black tank top and tan pants. Like I said before, you guys, her cell phone is going straight to voicemail, but I'm very concerned as to if anybody could see where her location was before the phone was turned off. Now, she's 21 years old, about 5'4", and she's 170 pounds. Now, I went to her social medias and saw that her last active TikTok was about 6 days ago, so that's around the time that she went missing.
There's been no reception or no direct contact with her.
Now, this is a bikini bar, so I'm very curious as to if any of her co-workers know any information on this man that was in the van. If she told any of her co-workers she was going to leave with someone or maybe go somewhere else with someone. I find it very strange that she left with a stranger and didn't have her location on or didn't even tell somebody, look, I'm finna go off with this person. This is where I'm going. Now, if you have any information in the disappearance of DeAndrea Ford, please contact police. If you was at this bar on Thursday night or if you was in this area and you saw something or saw a van, they haven't said what color the van actually was, please contact police as well. Let's bring this mother back home to her son.
And now a startling ABC News investigation. A whistleblower has come forward to tell consumers about the ground beef a lot of us buy at the supermarket. Is it what we think it is, or is it padded with a filler the whistleblower calls pink slime? ABC's senior national correspondent Jim Avila set out to get answers.
Gerald Zernstein grinds his own hamburger these days. Why? Because this former USDA scientist, now whistleblower, knows that 70% of the ground beef we buy at the supermarket contains something he calls pink slime. Beef trimmings that were once used only in dog food and cooking oil, now sprayed with ammonia to make them safe to eat, and then added to most ground beef as a cheaper filler. It was Zernstein who, in a USDA memo, first coined the term pink slime, and is now coming forward to say he won't buy it.
It's economic fraud. It's not fresh ground beef. It's a substitute. It's a cheap substitute being added in.
Zernstein and his fellow USDA scientist Carl Custer both warned against using what the industry calls lean, finely textured beef, and is widely known now as pink slime. But their government bosses overruled them. Why didn't you consider it beef?
Because it was a salvage product.
Leftovers?
Fat that had been heated at a low temperature and the excess fat spun out.
Here's how it's done. Those waste trimmings are gathered, simmered at low heat to make it easier to separate fat from muscle, put in a centrifuge and spun to finish the separation. Next, the mixture is sent through pipes where it's sprayed with ammonia gas to kill bacteria, and finally compressed into bricks and flash frozen for shipment to meat packers and grocery stores where it's added to most ground beef. And it doesn't have to appear on the label, because over objections of its own scientists, USDA officials with links to the beef industry labeled pink slime meat.
The undersecretary said, it's pink, therefore it's meat.
ABC News has learned the woman who made the decision to okay the mix is former Undersecretary of Agriculture Joanne Smith, a call that led to hundreds of millions of dollars for Beef Products, Inc., the makers of pink slime. When Smith stepped down from USDA, BPI's principal supplier appointed her to the board of directors, where she made at least $1.2 million over 17 years. She did not return our calls for comment. BPI says it had nothing to do with her appointment, and the USDA says, while legal then, under current ethics rules, she could not have immediately joined that board. Jim Avila, ABC News, Washington.
Pray over your food.
Ain't gonna lie. He's getting a little older. He started shitting on himself.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
He started shitting and pissing on himself, Tasha. What I'm supposed to damn do?
How old is he? Clean up the piss and shit.
No, he reached 61.
He look good for a 61-year-old.
He look damn good for 61.
But did he smell like piss and shit?
Man, that man had to shit it on me. I woke up. I said, what the fuck is going on? He said, I'm so sorry. It was an accident. And it took me like good 3 months to figure out whether I was going to leave or not. And that last shit, I had to go. I had to fed him some motherfucking jerk chicken. And that shit smells like fire. I said, I'm not fucking leaving, Tasha. Now, goddamn it, Tasha. Shit.
Now, this man gonna watch the podcast have to get on Instagram and defend himself.
He
shitting on you.
And he know. He said, you know, if you could just not tell all the nieces I shitted on myself. If you could just say that we broke up normally. I ain't finna lie. Your ass been shit. I'm gonna look like I'm a damn fool. Leaving a goddamn rich ass man.
What did you do? That sounds like some elderly what you do to make a piece of shit on
No,
himself?
he was pissing shit on himself, okay?
Okay.
He went to get mad at me. I might have popped him in the lip like I popped the last one because
Okay.
I have this thing with white men. I will swing on a white man.
Lord have mercy. She left her sugar daddy because he, listen, she said get somebody else to do it. I don't think I want to do that either, but yeah.
This mayor really showed up to a board meeting like Nino Brown demanding money from the citizens.
Employees and equipment. Fox 32's Dane Placco investigates where all that money is going.
Nobody knows something. Don't nobody know nothing.
Tiffany Henyard certainly isn't shy about attracting attention. Here she is starting a Dalton Village board meeting dressed like the Wesley Snipes character in the movie New Jack City. Later punctuating her political points with the help of her own DJ.
Every single resident. Pay me what you owe me. Thank you, DJ.
Henyard's picture and name adorn virtually every public posting, both from Dalton, where as mayor she makes $46,000 a year, and in Thornton Township, where as the elected supervisor she collects more than $200,000 a year. But for all that money, Henyard's tenure at both has been chaotic, with firings, scandals, and a legal battle with the Dalton trustees over spending. So last fall, Henyard did something that would seemingly generate some good publicity, helping establish the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation to help breast cancer patients. And on the very day the charity was chartered, it received a huge donation, $10,000, from the Thornton Township Board, which Henyard presides over.
Taxpayer money shouldn't be paid into those types of things.
Stephanie Wiedemann is the former Thornton Township Chief of Staff, whom Henyard fired shortly after taking over in March of last year.
It almost felt like a takeover, and a very aggressive one at that.
Since her firing, Wiedemann has been documenting township spending and says she's stunned by the taxpayer dollars funneled into Henyard's charity, especially this.
We got 10 days. We're going 196 miles.
Last October, Henyard led a delegation of Dalton and Thornton Township employees and political supporters on a march to Springfield to promote her breast cancer charity, which she documented on her Facebook page.
We're walking through Dalton. Hi, we're in Brightwood now. We are in Godly now. We're in Bloomington, baby.
I can pretty much map out their entire Springfield trip on the township credit cards.
That's right. Henyard billed thousands of dollars in hotel rooms and meals during the trip to Thornton Township and Dalton credit cards. In addition, the videos show Henyard used multiple village and township vehicles owned by taxpayers to escort the caravan, including a flatbed trailer with a photographer, flying a drone, and a DJ.
We got our mayor right here coming from Dalton, Illinois, walking all the way to Springfield. Y'all make some noise for our mayor, the people's mayor.
But they didn't always walk.
We on motorbikes, baby.
At times, riding electric bikes.
Y'all see my bike?
Our township supervisor.
It looks like a misspending of tax funds. I think that's the biggest concern.
Dalton trustee Jason House has been doing battle with the mayor since she took office.
Very disturbing to hear these things or to kind of see some of the receipts that appear to be connected to it. And I think the taxpayers really deserve better than that.
And then there's the merch.
Here's the shirt. One of the t-shirts.
Along the way, Henyard sold and gave away t-shirts and hoodies, also available on her charity's website. A week before the trip, the township paid $17,000 for specially printed hoodies and t-shirts, but won't say what they're for.
I think that everything she has initiated has been something to promote her, something to get her name in household, something to get people to buy into voting for her.
Our investigation found at least $11,000 in public funds spent on that trip. But both Dalton and Thornton Township have been slow or unresponsive to open records requests. So what was the purpose of the 10-day march to Springfield?
I have created a bill, which we're going to speak before the Revenue Committee, to give everybody $5,000 on their income tax when they file, if you are suffering from cancer.
A noble goal, except the Revenue Committee wasn't meeting when the group arrived in Springfield. Henyard did later testify at a committee hearing in Chicago, but so far nothing has come of her bill.
I think I'm doing a damn good job on the
So we went to a recent Thornton Township board meeting to ask Henyard some questions about all that spending.
I've never ever been bitter to the news. This is my olive branch to the media. Can you guys reach out to us and ask us our opinion before you post things? I would appreciate it.
And so we did.
I'll ask you a few questions.
Okay.
But Henyard wasn't anxious to talk about her charity.
Why did you and the board vote to give your foundation $10,000?
I'm the face of the foundation. My name is nowhere, sir.
Say again?
I'm the face.
You're the face. What was the purpose of going to Springfield?
Thank you, guys. Hey, she doesn't have any more comments, guys.
We're going to talk.
She doesn't have any more comments. Thanks, guys.
That's Keith Freeman, whom Henyard hired at both Dalton and Thornton Township and was part of her Springfield walk.
Look at Keith, baby!
Freeman also filed paperwork for the charity bearing Henyard's name.
Why are you using public money for your personal charity?
$17,000 for insurance.
And with that, her security detail hustled Henyard upstairs and blocked the staircase with a table. So we tried asking another employee who went on that trip.
You went down to Springfield, and what were you hoping to do in Springfield?
You need to ask the people that handles that. I'm not the one that handled it. I was just riding the bike.
We need more officers on the streets. We need our streets repaved. So to spend that kind of money on a charitable event or...
The mayor only makes $46,000 a year. Sounds like a headache. Wouldn't want it.
Hey girl, let's talk crime. So this is Devontae Marcel Williams, born on June 13th, 1995, to his mother, Marcella Williams, and he was born prematurely, and he also did have developmental disabilities. Now, his mother, Marcella Williams, was born in February 1981, and she ends up getting with this woman, Lisa Coleman. However, prior to getting with Lisa, she did have an active investigation against her, stating that she was not properly taking care of Devontae. So just a little bit of a background on Lisa Coleman, the top woman that Marcella had ended up getting with. So she had a pretty rough childhood. She was actually the product of sexual assault. So her mother was assaulted by her stepfather, which is Lisa's step-grandfather. So she had spent time in different foster homes where she was abused as a toddler. She did struggle with drugs and alcohol as a teenager, and then once she became of age, she did go to prison for multiple different things, such as burglary as well as possession with intent to deliver a controlled substance. In 1999, when Devontae was just 4 years old, he and his 1-year-old sister, Destiny, had been removed from his mother's home. So there was another CPS investigation, and it had revealed that Devontae was being abused by her girlfriend, Lisa Coleman. So Devontae's hair was thinning, he had bruising on his back, he also had swelling on his private area as well as his lips. So at this point, Devontae and baby Destiny were then placed into foster care, and their mother, Marcella, had regained custody after about a year, after promising that she would no longer allow Lisa Coleman back into the home. So Marcella did go on to have a third child, and then in 2002, when he was just in the first grade, there were more allegations that he was being neglected, both medically as well as physically. So investigators did visit the home, and those allegations were denied, stating that they were untrue. It was at this time that Lisa and Marcella stopped sending Devontae to school, so much so that the actual school district had thought that they had moved out of that area. It was also during this time, between November 13th and December 30th, 2002, that CPS had visited the home 9 times. During all of these times, no one answered the door, making it seem like no one lived there anymore.
On July 26, 2004, 911 receives a phone call from Marcella Williams, the mother of Devontae. She states that he is not breathing. Now, the dispatcher was trying to give her instructions on how to perform CPR, and at that point, the call was disconnected. Now, once they arrived at the home, Lisa, the girlfriend of Marcella, had told them that he had just stopped breathing just moments prior to calling 911. However, they did note that rigor mortis had already set in and knew that Devontae had been dead for several hours. At the time of his death, Devontae was just 9 years old. He had over 250 scars on his body. He also was at 35 pounds, which is the weight of someone half his age. And then he also had open sores on his wrist as well as his legs, where he had been bound by both Marcella and Lisa. One article had also stated that where his ear meets the side of his head, it was ripped off from being pulled by his ear. Both Lisa and Marcella were initially charged with injury to a child, and then later those charges were upgraded to capital murder. Both of his sisters were placed in foster care, and authorities say that they looked pretty healthy. So his cause of death was due to malnutrition, and then they also stated that pneumonia was a contributing factor as well. So Marcella did not go to trial. She did plead guilty to murder in exchange for a life sentence. She will not be eligible for parole until 2044. So her girlfriend, Lisa Coleman, had rejected the plea deal and ended up going to trial for capital murder. So in the state of Texas, you have to have like another crime, like something that happened in the process of the murder, to charge someone with capital murder. And so authorities stated that because Devontae was bound and locked into a pantry, that they would charge her with kidnapping as well. That way they would still be able to charge her with the capital murder charge. It took 1 hour for the jury to convict her of capital murder, and she was ultimately sentenced to death. And in September 2014, she was executed by lethal injection.
Alright. So, stay woke, y'all. And is it in yet? We'll be back tomorrow. It'll be Friday. And yeah, love that for us all. Y'all stay safe and stay blessed.